Monday morning sunlight streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows of the Grand Plaza Hotel's marble lobby, casting geometric patterns across the polished floors where well-dressed guests moved with purpose. The five-star establishment hummed with a quiet efficiency that came from decades of serving the city's elite. Diplomats, business moguls, and international dignitaries who expected perfection in every detail. At the reception desk, chaos was brewing. Martin Blake, a silver-haired man in his 50s wearing a perfectly tailored navy suit, paced frantically in front of the mahogany counter. His usually composed demeanor had cracked under pressure, revealing the panic of a businessman whose carefully orchestrated plans were falling apart in real time. "Where's the translator?" he demanded for the fourth time, his voice echoing across the lobby. "The Kawasaki delegation landed an hour ago, and they're expecting our presentation in 20 minutes. Behind the desk, Sarah, the hotel's head concierge, typed furiously on her computer while juggling 3 phone calls. "Mr. Blake, I've contacted every translation service in the city. The earliest anyone can arrive is this afternoon." "This afternoon?" Martin's face reddened. "This is a $50 million deal. The Japanese investors don't speak English, and my French is limited to ordering wine." Near the elevator bank, a group of impeccably dressed Japanese businessmen waited with polite patience that only made Martin's panic worse. Their leader, an elderly gentleman in a pristine black suit, checked his gold watch with the subtle precision of someone accustomed to punctuality. At the same time, a second delegation had arrived. 3 French executives who had flown in specifically for this trilateral merger discussion. They stood near the lobby's seating area, speaking rapidly in French while gesturing toward the delayed proceedings with growing frustration. "Où est le traducteur?" one of the French executives asked loudly. "Nous avons un calendrier très serré." Martin understood enough to know they were asking about the translator and expressing impatience with the schedule. His company's biggest international expansion hung in the balance, and he was helpless to communicate with the very people who could make it happen. It was then that Ana Ruiz stepped into the spotlight. 41 years old with warm brown skin and dark hair pulled back in a practical bun, Ana wore the crisp gray uniform of the hotel's cleaning staff. She moved through the lobby with the invisible efficiency of someone who had learned to work around important people without disturbing their important business. Ana had been quietly polishing the mahogany side tables near the reception area, her movements methodical and unobtrusive. She understood fragments of conversations in multiple languages every day, part of the background soundtrack of working in an international hotel. But this morning, the tension and frustration in the air was impossible to ignore. She had watched Martin Blake's mounting panic with growing concern. Ana recognized the look of a man watching his dreams crumble, an expression she had worn herself more times than she cared to remember. When the Japanese delegation leader approached the reception desk and began speaking in rapid Japanese, clearly asking about the delay, Ana saw Martin's shoulders slump in defeat. The French executives, meanwhile, were discussing among themselves whether to reschedule entirely. Ana paused in her cleaning, her hands stilling on the cloth she had been using to polish brass fixtures. She looked around the lobby, noting the positions of all the players in this unfolding drama. Then, making a decision that would change everything, she set down her cleaning supplies and walked quietly toward the reception desk. "Excuse me," she said softly, her voice barely audible above the lobby's ambient noise. Martin Blake turned toward her with the distracted irritation of a man with no time for interruptions. "Yes?" Ana took a small breath, then addressed the Japanese delegation leader in perfect, respectful Japanese. "Ohayo gozaimasu. Sumimasen ga honyakusha ga okurete imasu. Sukoshi omachi kudasai?" The Japanese gentleman's eyebrows rose in surprise, and he responded in rapid Japanese, clearly relieved to finally communicate with someone. Ana nodded, then turned to the French executives. "Messieurs, je vous prie de m'excuser pour ce retard. Le traducteur arrive bientôt. Puis-je vous offrir du café en attendant?" The French executives looked startled but pleased, immediately responding in French with visible relief. Martin Blake stood frozen, his mouth slightly open, staring at the cleaning lady who had just effortlessly solved his crisis. In 2 languages he didn't even know she spoke. The entire lobby seemed to pause, as if the universe itself was taking a moment to acknowledge that something extraordinary had just happened in the most ordinary way possible. Where are you watching this video right now? At home? at work, or on the road? Let me know in the comments below. I love hearing from each and every one of you. 10 years earlier, Ana Ruiz had stood before a classroom of eager university students in Barcelona, explaining the nuances of cross-cultural communication in flawless English, French, Japanese, and Mandarin. Dr. Ana Ruiz, as she was known then, held a PhD in applied linguistics and had been recognized as Spain's outstanding foreign language educator 3 years running. Her life had been everything she'd worked toward: a prestigious position at Universidad Autónoma, a loving husband who was a successful architect, and 2 beautiful children, Sofia and Miguel, who showed the same gift for languages that had shaped their mother's career. But life has a way of rewriting even the most carefully planned stories. The cancer had come suddenly, aggressively. Her husband Carlos had hidden the symptoms for months, not wanting to worry the family, while Ana was preparing for a major international linguistics conference. By the time the doctors caught it, there was little they could do but make him comfortable. Carlos died 6 months after the diagnosis, leaving Ana with overwhelming medical bills, 2 traumatized children, and a grief so profound it felt like drowning in plain sight. The university had been understanding at first, offering condolences and a semester of bereavement leave. But when Ana's grief stretched into a second semester, when she struggled to focus during lectures and found herself crying in faculty meetings, their patience wore thin. "Perhaps you need more time," the department head had suggested, his tone gentle but final. "We'll keep your position open, but we need someone who can fully commit to our students." Ana had nodded numbly, understanding that she was being politely dismissed from the only career she'd ever known. With no income and mounting debts, Ana had made the devastating decision to leave Spain. A distant cousin in America had offered to help her get settled, and Ana had used the last of her savings to buy 3 plane tickets to a country where her credentials meant nothing and her accent marked her as foreign. The America that greeted them was nothing like the land of opportunity she'd imagined. Despite her impressive education, Ana discovered that foreign teaching credentials required years of expensive certification processes. Her English, while fluent, carried an accent that made some employers suspicious. Her children, meanwhile, struggled to adapt to a new language and culture while dealing with the loss of their father and the dramatic change in their circumstances. The job at the Grand Plaza Hotel had been a lifeline thrown to a drowning woman. It paid minimum wage, offered basic health insurance, and asked no questions about her background. All they cared about was that she arrived on time, worked efficiently, and remained invisible to the wealthy guests who filled the hotel's gilded spaces. So every morning at 5 a.m., Ana left Sofia, now 14, and Miguel, 12, sleeping in their small apartment, and took 2 buses to reach the luxury hotel. She cleaned bathrooms, dusted furniture, and polished surfaces while around her, international business was conducted in languages she could understand, but was never invited to participate in. The irony was crushing. She overheard merger discussions in French, misunderstood technical translations in Japanese, and watched communication breakdowns that she could easily resolve. But she was invisible to these powerful people, just another uniformed worker whose presence was taken for granted. Her colleagues in the cleaning staff were kind but distant. Most were also immigrants, struggling with their own challenges, and they viewed Ana with a mixture of sympathy and puzzlement. Why would someone with her obvious education choose to clean hotel rooms? "You're too smart for this work," Maria, the housekeeping supervisor, had told her more than once. "You should find something better." But Ana had tried something better. She'd applied for teaching positions, translation work, even entry-level office jobs. Each rejection stung more than the last. Too qualified for basic positions, not properly certified for academic ones, and too foreign for everything in between. The evenings were the hardest. Ana would return to their cramped apartment, where Sofia and Miguel waited with homework they sometimes struggled to complete without their father's help. Their dinner table was a folding card table, and their shared meal was often rice and beans stretched to last 3 days. But every night, Ana would sit with her children and help them with their studies, seamlessly switching between Spanish and English, occasionally throwing in French or Japanese phrases to keep their minds sharp. She told them stories about the languages they carried within them, the bridges they could build between cultures. Why did you know so many languages, Mama? Miguel had asked one evening, his young face serious beyond his years. Because, mi amor, Ana had replied, smoothing his dark hair. Languages are more than words. They're doorways to understanding, pathways to connection. Each language you speak makes you a citizen of a larger world. Sophia, wise for her 14 years, had watched her mother with concern. But if you're so smart, why do you clean hotel rooms? Ana had been quiet for a long moment before answering. Sometimes, mija, we do what we must so that tomorrow we can do what we choose. Your education, your future, that's what matters now. What her children couldn't see, what no one at the Grand Plaza Hotel could see, was that Ana carried within herself the ability to bridge worlds, solve problems, and facilitate understanding between cultures. But in the harsh reality of survival, those gifts remained buried beneath a gray uniform in the weight of necessity. Until the morning when crisis called them forth, and Ana discovered that some talents refused to stay hidden forever. Within hours of the lobby incident, word began spreading through the Grand Plaza Hotel like ripples across still water. The cleaning lady who spoke multiple languages, the woman who had saved Martin Blake's $50 million deal, the invisible worker who had suddenly become the most talked about person in the building. Sarah, the head concierge, was the first to approach Ana after the successful meeting concluded. She found her restocking towels in the executive suite powder room, working with the same quiet efficiency as always. Ana, Sarah said softly, what you did this morning was incredible. How many languages do you speak? Ana paused in her folding, her expression carefully neutral. I speak what I need to speak, miss. That was hardly basic conversation skills. You were translating complex business terminology, cultural nuances. Where did you learn that? I studied languages in my country, Ana replied simply, returning to her work. Sarah persisted gently. What kind of study? University? Ana's hands stilled for just a moment. Yes, university. That afternoon, Sarah made a series of quiet inquiries. She contacted the university's administrative office, spoke with other hotel staff members, and began piecing together fragments of Ana's story. What she discovered left her speechless. Dr. Ana Ruiz, Doctor of Philosophy and Applied Linguistics, published researcher, award-winning educator, now cleaning hotel bathrooms because life had taken an unexpected turn. Sarah shared her findings with James Morrison, the hotel's general manager, a thoughtful man in his 40s who prided himself on recognizing talent regardless of its packaging. You're telling me we have a linguistics professor cleaning rooms? James asked, reviewing the information Sarah had gathered. Not just any professor. She was nationally recognized in Spain before she came here. Look at this. Sarah showed him a translated article about Ana's academic achievements. She speaks 7 languages fluently and has published papers on international business communication. James stared at the information, then looked out his office window toward the floor where Ana was likely working at that very moment. And she's been here how long? 8 months. Perfect attendance. Never a complaint. Completely professional. But James, she's been wasted on cleaning duty when she could be helping with our international clientele. Meanwhile, Martin Blake couldn't concentrate on anything except the woman who had saved his deal. The Japanese delegation had been so impressed with Ana's cultural sensitivity and linguistic precision that they'd specifically requested her presence at future meetings. The French executives had commented on her sophisticated understanding of business protocol. Who is she? Martin asked Sarah when he returned to the hotel that afternoon. That woman, Ana. I need to know more about her background. Sarah hesitated, then shared what she'd learned. Martin listened in growing amazement and something that felt like shame. She's been cleaning my conference room for months, he said quietly. I've walked past her dozens of times and never really saw her. Most of our guests don't really see the staff, Sarah replied diplomatically. That evening, Ana was finishing her shift when she noticed several hotel employees watching her with new expressions. Not the polite indifference she was accustomed to, but something that looked suspiciously like respect. Roberto, the evening security guard, nodded to her as she passed the front desk. Evening, Professor, he said with a gentle smile. Ana stopped, startled. I'm sorry. Word gets around, Roberto said kindly. We heard what you did today, about your background. It's nice to finally know who we've been working alongside. In the staff break room, Ana found a small bouquet of flowers and a note written in Spanish. Gracias por mostrarnos que la grandeza viene en muchas formas. Your colleagues. Thank you for showing us that greatness comes in many forms. Dr. Patricia Williams from the hotel's corporate partnership division sought Ana out the next morning. A woman in her 50s with graying hair and intelligent eyes, Dr. Williams had spent 20 years facilitating international business relationships. Ana, I hope you don't mind, but I wanted to speak with you about yesterday, she began as Ana was organizing cleaning supplies. What you accomplished in that lobby was remarkable. I've seen professional interpreters with decades of experience handle situations less skillfully. Ana continued her work, but Dr. Williams caught the slight straightening of her shoulders. I have a doctorate in international relations, Dr. Williams continued. I recognize expertise when I see it. The way you navigated those cultural protocols, the respect you showed each delegation while maintaining neutrality, that's graduate-level diplomatic skill. I just helped with communication, Ana said quietly. No, you did much more than that. You prevented a potential international incident, saved a major business deal, and demonstrated the kind of cultural competency that universities spend years trying to teach. Dr. Williams paused. Ana, I know it's not my business, but I have to ask, how did someone with your obvious qualifications end up working housekeeping? For the first time, Ana stopped working entirely. She turned to face Dr. Williams, her dark eyes reflecting years of struggle and compromise. Sometimes life gives us choices that aren't really choices, she said simply. Sometimes we do what we must to survive. Dr. Williams nodded with understanding. I've made some of those non-choices myself. But Ana, what happened yesterday proved something important. Talent has a way of surfacing, no matter how deeply it's buried. As Dr. Williams left, she made a mental note to speak with James Morrison about the hotel's staffing policies. They had a treasure working in housekeeping, and it was time someone acknowledged that fact officially. Ana continued her work, but something had shifted. For the first time in months, she felt seen not just as a service worker, but as a person with value beyond her ability to clean and organize. 2 days after the lobby incident, Martin Blake made an unprecedented decision. Instead of conducting business from his usual penthouse office, he came to the Grand Plaza Hotel specifically to find Ana Ruiz. He located her in the 14th floor conference room, methodically arranging chairs and cleaning surfaces in preparation for the day's meetings. She worked with the same quiet precision he'd observed dozens of times before, but now he saw something different. The careful attention to detail of someone accustomed to excellence. Ana, he said, standing in the doorway. She looked up, startled. In her 8 months at the hotel, no guest had ever addressed her by name, unless it was to complain about something. Yes, Mr. Blake? Is there something I can help you with? Martin stepped into the room, closing the door behind him. Actually, there is. I'd like to offer you a position with my company. Ana's hands stilled on the table she'd been polishing. I'm sorry? A real position, head of international relations. You'd be responsible for managing communication between our company and our global partners. The salary would be 6 figures, full benefits, and you'd be working with the same kind of high-level negotiations you facilitated yesterday. For a moment, Ana said nothing. Martin watched as multiple emotions crossed her face. Surprise, hope, and then something that looked like pain. Mr. Blake, I appreciate your offer, but I must decline. Martin blinked. I'm sorry, what? I said thank you, but no. Ana resumed cleaning, her movements now slightly more agitated. I have a job here that suits my needs. Ana, you're obviously overqualified for housekeeping. This is an opportunity to use your actual skills to... To what? Ana interrupted, her voice sharper than he'd ever heard it. To be grateful that a wealthy man noticed me and decided to rescue me? Martin was taken aback by her response. That's not what this is about. Ana set down her cleaning cloth and faced him directly. Isn't it? Yesterday I was invisible to you. I cleaned your conference room while you conducted business above my head. But the moment I proved useful to you, suddenly I became worth noticing. That's not fair, Martin protested. I'm offering you a legitimate opportunity based on your demonstrated abilities. And what happens when your company no longer needs my particular abilities? When the international deals are finished and you realize you hired the cleaning lady out of gratitude rather than genuine need. Anna picked up her cleaning supplies and moved toward the door. I need job security, Mr. Blake. I need predictable hours and reliable benefits. I have 2 children depending on me, and I can't afford to take risks on opportunities that might disappear as quickly as they appeared. Martin stepped aside as she approached the door. Anna, wait. What if I could guarantee— You can't guarantee anything, Anna said firmly, but not unkindly. I've learned that lesson already. People like you mean well, but you don't understand what it's like to choose between pride and survival. She paused at the threshold. I clean your conference room, Mr. Blake. I see how quickly business relationships change, how easily partnerships dissolve. I won't make my children's security dependent on whether you continue to find me useful. After Anna left, Martin stood alone in the conference room, staring at the spotless table and perfectly arranged chairs. For the first time, he tried to imagine what it would be like to possess extraordinary talents but feel unable to use them, to choose safety over ambition because the stakes of failure were too high. That evening, Anna returned to her small apartment where Sophia and Miguel were doing homework at their folding table. The cramped space felt especially confining after Martin's offer, and Anna found herself staring out the single window at the city lights beyond. Mama, you look sad, Miguel observed, looking up from his math problems. Not sad, mijo, just thinking. Sophia, now wise beyond her 14 years, studied her mother's expression. Something happened at work today. It wasn't a question. Sophia had developed an uncanny ability to read her mother's moods, a skill born from watching Anna navigate crisis after crisis with stoic determination. A man offered me a different job, Anna said finally. A better job. But you said no, Sophia said, again not asking. I said no. Because you don't trust it, Miguel added, his understanding surprising for a 12-year-old. Anna sat down at the table with her children, her heart heavy with the weight of practical decisions. I said no because our life now is hard but stable. We have enough food, a roof over our heads, health care. A better job might pay more, but it might also disappear. What if it didn't disappear? Sophia asked quietly. Then I would have made the wrong choice, Anna admitted. But if it did disappear, we could lose everything we've built here. Miguel reached over and patted his mother's hand. Papa used to say that sometimes the safest choice is the bravest choice. Anna smiled sadly, remembering Carlos's practical wisdom. He had always balanced dreams with responsibility, ambition with security. That night, as her children slept, Anna lay awake thinking about the life she'd once had and the life she'd chosen now. She thought about the conference room where she cleaned tables that had once hosted discussions, not unlike ones she'd led in Barcelona. But when morning came, she put on her gray uniform and returned to work, her decision made. Security trumped opportunity. Survival mattered more than recognition. Some dreams, she told herself, were too expensive to pursue. Martin Blake was not accustomed to being told no, especially when he was offering someone exactly what they needed. For 3 weeks after Anna's rejection, he found himself thinking about her response, her reasons, and the wall of practical fear that surrounded her like armor. He began making discreet inquiries through Dr. Williams and James Morrison, learning more about Anna's situation. 2 children in public school, a small apartment in a neighborhood that was safe but far from comfortable. Every decision filtered through the lens of financial survival. The breakthrough came when Martin realized he was approaching the situation entirely wrong. I've been thinking like a businessman, he confided to Dr. Williams during a coffee meeting, offering her a job as if that solves everything. But she's not looking for opportunity, she's looking for security. So what are you proposing instead? Dr. Williams asked. I'm proposing to prove that opportunity and security don't have to be mutually exclusive. Martin's plan was methodical and patient. First, he arranged for the hotel to recognize Anna's special skills officially. James Morrison created a new position, Cultural Liaison Specialist, that allowed Anna to assist with international guests while maintaining her regular housekeeping duties and current benefits package. The pay increase was modest but meaningful. More importantly, It established Anna as someone with specific expertise rather than just a helpful cleaning lady. Next, Martin began documenting every interaction Anna had with international clients. The German businessman who thanked her for helping them navigate a contractual misunderstanding. The Chinese delegation who specifically requested her assistance after she helped resolve a cultural protocol issue. The Brazilian investors who brought her flowers after she facilitated a dinner where they closed a major deal. Look at this. Martin showed Dr. Williams a thick folder of commendations and client feedback. She's not just translating languages, she's translating cultures. She's preventing misunderstandings that could have cost millions of dollars. 6 weeks after his initial offer, Martin requested a formal meeting with Anna through the hotel's proper channels. This time, he came prepared not with promises, but with proof. They met in the hotel's small conference room, with Dr. Williams and James Morrison present as witnesses. Anna sat across from Martin, her expression polite but guarded. "Anna, I want to show you something," Martin began, opening his folder. "These are letters from clients you've helped over the past 6 weeks. 12 different companies representing over $200 million in international business." He handed her the first letter. "This is from Yamamoto Industries. They specifically requested that any future meetings with my company include your cultural consultation. They said, and I quote, Ms. Ruiz demonstrated a sophisticated understanding of Japanese business culture that prevented several potential misunderstandings." Anna read the letter, her eyebrows rising slightly. Martin continued, "This one is from the French pharmaceutical company. They want to hire you directly for their upcoming merger negotiations. They're offering $50,000 for 3 months of consultation work." $50,000? Anna's voice was barely a whisper. "And this," Martin placed another document on the table, "is a formal job offer. Not from me personally, but from a consortium of international businesses who have specifically requested your services. You'd be an independent contractor, working with multiple companies, setting your own schedule, and earning between $200,000 and $300,000 annually." Anna stared at the papers, her hands trembling slightly. This is not possible." Dr. Williams leaned forward. "Anna, what Martin is showing you is market demand. These companies aren't offering you charity. They're competing for your services because you provide something they genuinely need. But I'm not certified in business consultation. I don't have the credentials for this kind of work." Martin smiled. "Actually, you do." He pulled out another folder. "I took the liberty of researching credential recognition processes. Your PhD in applied linguistics qualifies you for international business consultation. Your academic publications on cross-cultural communication are cited in business schools around the world." "I had no idea my work was still being referenced," Anna said, her voice thick with emotion. "Your 2019 paper on linguistic bridge building in corporate environments is required reading at Harvard Business School," Dr. Williams added. "Anna, you're not an unknown quantity in academic circles. You're a recognized expert who's been working below her qualifications." James Morrison spoke for the first time. "Anna, I've been running this hotel for 15 years. I've seen many talented people come and go, but I've never seen anyone command the kind of respect and results that you've generated in just 6 weeks of cultural liaison work." Anna wiped tears from her eyes. "You don't understand. I can't take risks. My children—" "Which is why," Martin interrupted gently, "this isn't a risk. Look at the contracts, Anna. Every company is offering guaranteed minimums, renewable terms, and termination clauses that protect you. You'd be making more in 3 months than you currently make in 2 years." He pulled out a final document. "And this is a scholarship fund I've established for Sophia and Miguel. Full university tuition, regardless of what happens with your career. Your children's education is guaranteed." Anna broke down completely, years of suppressed hope and fear finally finding release. "I don't understand why you're doing this." "Because talent like yours shouldn't be wasted," Martin said simply. "Because you saved my business deal, but more importantly, you showed me what I'd been missing by not really seeing the people around me." Dr. Williams handed Anna a tissue. "Anna, you have a choice to make, but this time, you're choosing between security and greater security, between survival and prosperity." Anna looked around the table at the 3 people who had worked to create this moment. "If I say yes, If you say yes, Martin replied, you start next Monday. Your first client is the Japanese delegation, who specifically requested you for their merger negotiations. They're offering $75,000 for 4 weeks of work. Anna took a shaking breath. For the first time in 10 years, she was being offered not just a job, but a career. Not just survival, but success. Not just an opportunity, but recognition of abilities she'd thought were buried forever. Yes, she whispered, then stronger. Yes, I accept. The room erupted in applause, but Anna barely heard it. She was thinking about calling Sophia and Miguel, about telling them that sometimes, against all odds, dreams really do come true. How do you feel knowing the truth? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to Hidden Heroine so you never miss incredible stories like this one. 1 year later, Ana Ruiz stood in the executive conference room of the Grand Plaza Hotel. But this time she wasn't cleaning the tables. She was leading the meeting. Dressed in a sharp navy blazer and confident smile, she facilitated discussions between executives from 4 different countries, seamlessly switching between languages and cultural contexts with the natural grace that had always been her gift. The transformation had been remarkable, but not just professionally. Anna's entire life had shifted into something she'd never dared imagine possible. Sophia, now 15 and flourishing in an advanced international studies program, sat in the corner of the conference room taking notes for a school project on global business communication. Her acceptance to the program had come with a full scholarship from the foundation Martin had established, but her acceptance had been earned through her own academic excellence and her mother's genes for linguistic talent. Mama speaks 5 languages fluently, Sophia explained to her classmates during a presentation about career inspiration. But more than that, she understands how to help people from different cultures really hear each other. She doesn't just translate words, she translates meaning. Miguel, 13 now and showing the same gift for languages that ran in their family, had started a tutoring program at his school, helping immigrant students with English while they taught him phrases in their native languages. The confidence he'd gained from watching his mother's success had transformed him from a shy, worried boy into a young man who saw diversity as strength. Their new apartment was bright and spacious, with a real dining room table where the family gathered each evening to share stories from their days. Anna had insisted on staying in the same neighborhood, but their new home was filled with books, art, and the sound of laughter that had been missing for too long. The wall of Anna's home office was covered with framed letters from grateful clients, certificates of appreciation from international organizations, and photos from business meetings around the world. But the centerpiece was a simple drawing Miguel had made when he was 8, a stick figure, family holding hands under the words, "Mama helps people talk." Dr. Williams had become both a professional partner and a close friend. Together, they had established a consulting firm specializing in cross-cultural business communication, with Anna as the lead specialist and Dr. Williams handling the administrative aspects that allowed Anna to focus on what she did best. "You know what amazes me most about your success?" Dr. Williams had told Anna recently. "It's not just that you were discovered, it's that you never stopped being yourself. You still help people because you want to help them, not because it's profitable." Martin Blake had become an unexpected mentor and friend. His initial gesture had evolved into a genuine professional relationship built on mutual respect rather than gratitude. He often brought Anna challenging cases, negotiations that seemed impossible, cultural conflicts that threatened major deals, and she had yet to encounter a communication problem she couldn't solve. "I used to think business was about winning and losing," Martin reflected during a recent strategy meeting. "Anna taught me it's actually about understanding and being understood. When everyone feels heard, everyone can win." The Grand Plaza Hotel had created a permanent position for Anna as Director of International Guest Relations. Though she only worked there 1 day a week now, she insisted on maintaining that connection, both out of loyalty to the place that had sheltered her during her darkest period and as a reminder of how quickly circumstances could change. On quiet Sunday mornings, Anna would walk through Central Park with her children, past the hotel where she'd once cleaned rooms at dawn. They would talk about their dreams, their plans, their hopes for the future, but mostly they would simply enjoy being together, being secure, being free to dream without fear. Mama, Sophia had asked on one of these walks, do you ever regret those years when you were cleaning hotels instead of running meetings? Anna had considered the question seriously. No, mija, those years taught me something important. That dignity isn't about what work you do. It's about how you do your work. And that sometimes the most valuable abilities are hidden in the most unexpected places. She had gestured toward the hotel's gleaming facade. Every person working in there has a story, has talents, has dreams. I was lucky enough to be seen, but I never forget that there are others still waiting for their moment. Sometimes the greatest treasures are hidden behind the most humble appearances, and kindness always finds a way to shine through. If you believe that talent and kindness will always find a way to shine, please subscribe to Hidden Heroine. Let's spread these heartwarming stories together.